And welcome back. We're going to go ahead and segue into looking at a programming with example here. Let's go ahead and do some Python IO. Now you'll see I have gone ahead and started up the structure that I need for my program. You see I have my main definition here and of course the invocation down below it. And of course I have a comment here that says some code. So let's go ahead and have this approach use file to determine something. So for example, let's just say we want to have something where we can pick a favorite number from among a group of numbers, or we have some sort of operation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just leave this comment here for now. I'm going to come back to it later. But let's just go ahead and start filling some things in. So let's just say we want to give a comment. Let's say print. Choose a number between 1 and 10 that could be your favorite number. All right, now if you remember, this of course can be given right into an input string, but we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to say let's have an input here, and actually since it's an integer, I'm going to go ahead and choose input, and I'm going to give it another string and say your favorite number is. And I'll just leave that as is. So that will, of course, give me input. It's going to store it in an integer. And then let's give it another print command here. And let's have this one now completing operations with that number. And so what can we do with this number now? So let's go ahead and now use our code here. I'm just going to change this to get number from user, and notice I don't have this actually saved here, just so we just have this integer command here. I didn't actually save anything, so I need to of course put that into a variable there. So now that's caught. So now I have a variable called favenum, and so now I can complete operations with that number. So what does that mean? Well, now we, of course, if we were to look at this code and say I want to, for example, say print, and I'll just say your favorite number times 2 is, and then of course we could do a simple operation. So I'm going to concatenate, and we just say favenum, and we say times 2. Now if you remember, we do have to do one extra step here, because if I run this as is, we are going to get an error. In fact, I'll just go ahead and run this right now. Alright, so let's say I just put in 5. We get an error that says it's not a string, so I'm just going to go ahead and clear this terminal, come back up here and add in that string command here, so str parentheses, and you got to remember, you got to put it around this whole thing here. If I just do around favenum, it's not going to fix the issue, because again, that's just going to take care of favenum. We need to do favenum times 2, put into string, which will allow us to do that concatenation. Alright, so that gives us that. What if we wanted to pull a piece of that number now? Alright, or we wanted to update favenum. So let's just say favenum equals, actually first let's just give a dialog here first. Let's say print and say doubling, or actually let's, since we just did a double, let's just say tripling your favorite number, and we'll just do favenum and multiply that by 3. Now of course that would of course give me that same number multiplied by 3, and if I were to return that number, now I'm just going to go ahead and print out favenum just so we can see that in action. And when I run this, favorite number is, let's go ahead and put 5. We get our favorite number is times 2 is 10, tripling your favorite number, 15. Perfect. Now what if we wanted to use this in a more algorithmic approach? What if we wanted to do this for something that can problem solve something? So this is some good demonstrations of something, but let's just say, like, for example, I have a problem in front of me and I need to figure out how I can use this code to solve it. For example, let's just say I want to find the change to something, and we're just going to say everything is all in cents, let's say. So I'm just going to go down here and say, add a comma that says calculating the change in change in cents, and I'm going to get a input. So let's just say this is the change given, and so we can say we're going to take this in as a integer, because I'm just going to go of course, work in cents here, so I don't have to worry about decimals right now. But let's just say int, and we'll say input, and then we'll give the prompt, please enter the amount of change given. And then we can give another variable that has the original amount. So original amount equals int input, and we say please enter the amount due. And actually I'm going to switch these two around so that way this is going to be just given first. So amount due, please amount of change given, and then we can have a new variable. Let's just have this one called changed returned, and have that one equal original amount minus the change given. And then we can just simply print out the amount of change returned was change returned. All right, so if we go ahead and run this one, all right, we still got our favorite number is, so we'll do 5 again. And we say, please enter the amount due. So let's just say we had 75 cents due. And say we gave them a quarter. Oh, and we got an error because what did we forget to do? We forgot to put our string cast here. Very common thing that you might forget to do in Python if you're still learning it. So I'm going to go ahead and rerun it one more time. 5, we said, please enter the amount due, 75, 25, and then we get 50. All right, cool. And just to make this a little cleaner, I'm just going to go ahead and add in a plus here. I'm going to reconcatenate in, and we add the word cents. Just that way that looks a little bit cleaner. So I'm just going to run that one more time. 75, 25, and we get 50 cents. Perfect. So that, of course, is cleaned up real nicely here now. All right, and that's going to give us a good foundation for us to start being able to work with input and output with Python. Obviously, there's a lot more stuff we can do. There's a lot more techniques and strategies we can start diving into. But before we do some of that, we're going to have to learn a couple more things. For example, how do we start handling things with strings? That's going to be our next approach in trying to figure out what can we do with strings that's going to actually make our programs much more valuable.